Freaky fuckers of YouTube. And Alice yeets herself out of the frame.
I look ugly.
You may or may not have already seen the video that I posted on to TikTok, but this is the video follow-up that I promised all of you. There's a random foot in the frame. And after we make this video, just like 2020, I want to be 100% done with this topic. I never really thought that I'd have to deal with this. I would recommend 2020 just because I met her in 2020.
Oh.
But for some of this other bullshit, including COVID, now we're dealing with, I am 100% done. So, as all of you may or may not have known, we broke up with our partners, Ivy and Gypsy. What's it been now, babe? 2 weeks?
Longer.
2 weeks ago, I think. Somewhere around there. And we promised, and we held up to it. We said we would be diplomatic unless we had to be. But now we're being forced to not be diplomatic. And we're going to bring up a few things for you guys. And I apologize for this being free form, but this is just the easiest way to do it so I can get my emotions out, my thoughts out, give you guys all the information, and hopefully it all makes sense. So, let me first lead with this, because part of why I'm so appalled by this is not just the attempt to tear us down or otherwise, but the fact that the term human trafficking is being used. Alice has told her story before that she was almost got in a bad situation with a Romeo trafficker. I have known people who have gotten roped in those situations. That's not what happened here. And to use that as a way to tear somebody down is the most toxic fucking thing. Because you discredit and dishonor everybody who's actually gone through that. You diminish their struggle and their pain and their fucking anguish through your own selfish bullshit. Okay, as a matter of fact, we are reaching out to the Human Trafficking Sports Center to try to get a counselor otherwise on our podcast so we can share that information with you, the real information about that horrible trend. But to clarify, human trafficking is through forced coercion or fraud, basically turning somebody into a slave. Whether that be through labor, like an illegal immigrant being brought over by a coyote or whatever, and then being forced to work off a debt, or in many cases, the ones that people are aware of, dealing with prostitution. Specifically, prostitution. And not only going into sex work, but going into sex work where somebody is taking all of your money and making you do things and pulling you away from friends and family, etc. So, let me be clear that there is not a drop of any of that going on in this home. And for the topic at hand, as a matter of fact, Gypsy, when she originally came to us, she was engaging in prostitution with other people of her own free will. And, when she originally started dating us, she's like, well, do you care if I still keep doing it? And we're like, well, we support sex work, but, eh. And then later on, after the theft happened, which we later found out was her fault, she tried to rope Alice into doing it. She tried to rope Ivy into doing it. And we said, we don't want you to do that. Although we support sex work, we don't want you to engage in that because of what it would mean, even being their own free will, what that would mean for our family. So we were against that. Okay? I want to make that clear. What this boils down to, in the case of everything we're dealing with all of this, is there's basically 3 parties in this whole equation, 4 parties in this whole equation if you count Alice and I. All right. Party number 1 is this group of people we've been dealing with that are quote unquote educators and advocates and otherwise who have been trying to tear us down literally since we launched. Literally from day 1 that our account blew up, we have had a group of people who have tried everything under the sun to tear this family down and to hurt our brand, to promote their own brand. They want to discredit somebody else so they can make their brand stronger. And they have literally, up until this point, have tried everything they possibly could. Saying that we weren't certified educators, saying that we weren't choking right when we were, saying that we shouldn't teach choking, period. When they couldn't say we were doing it wrong, then we shouldn't do it, period. Then it was they started reaching out to ex-partners. And then it was other false allegations. And every fucking thing they could, it's like the spaghetti method. They were just throwing things at the wall, and they continue to do so. Literally, the minute we broke up with Gypsy and Ivy, within hours, these people were reaching out, trying to get dirt, and trying to twist it. So that's party one. And you guys have heard me talk about this. It's gatekeeping, it's toxic. They're not real educators. I'm sorry, because even if they have good information, guess what? If you try to tear somebody down to boost your own, that makes you not a real educator. Because part of what comes with this lifestyle is integrity and honor and honesty, and they're not portraying those. Okay? I've given you my credentials before, first of all. So that's that party. Party, again, there's Alice and I. There is our ex-girlfriend prior to Ivy and Gypsy, who has now befriended Ivy and Gypsy and is trying to manipulate this whole situation because of her bullshit. And her story is a little simpler to tell. We'll address that too, because she might pop up at some point, so we're going to make this abundantly clear. That partner I was with for over a year. Let me think here. June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. I was with her 9 months prior to Alice. And then Alice was with the two of us for another 8 months before, or 7 months before that relationship ended. And she was kind of there at the tail end of Gypsy and Ivy coming in. All right? Now, through the course of that relationship, she dealt with disability, she dealt with other stuff. I tried to be extremely supportive the entire time. She had just graduated college, and due to her disability, was going to take some time off, so I tried to give her opportunity, give her a home, help her with her medical stuff, which frankly the medicine she got, she wouldn't have gotten had I had not busted my ass to get it for her. But regardless, she was here, and she was originally very invested in the idea of doing photos and everything else. She was very ecstatic about it. And then along the way, it kind of shifted. And it was all about her podcast, or her Twitch, and that was it. She started just drifting more and more, didn't want to do professional shoots or otherwise. Now, during that time, she didn't have to work a job. We had a shared joint bank account, which whether or not she wants to do it securely now, that was the agreement we had. We had a joint bank account. And that account not only had the little bit of income she made, very little, but also my income, my corporate day job income, which I don't need to get into that, but I was making about $60,000 to $70,000 a year. She had access to all of that. Her income, at the high point, I went back and looked at the statements, equated to maybe $1,000 a month. Now, her complaint is that she was never paid, quote unquote. Well, guess what? We're in a relationship. You don't get paid in a relationship. You have a mutual hustle, you have a mutual goal, right? And she also thinks that for some reason, despite the fact that she was living here in a relationship with me, she wasn't responsible for rent or utilities or otherwise. Now let me explain to you guys something. Our apartment that we still share, that I have now, Alice shares with me, that she was in, it's $1,000 a month, give or take. Plus a cell phone bill that she had, plus electric, plus cable, plus food. I mean, you're talking probably, if you cut it in half, $1,000 to $1,500 a month. Now on top of that, despite the fact that her income was usually under $1,000, and here's the thing, that's even if I gave her 100% of everything on the modeling side and everything else. If we had said, you know what, it's all yours, she still would have been short. I didn't bitch though. I made sure she always had an account that had $1,000 in case she wanted something that, to surprise me with something, or she just wanted to get something, or if she wanted to fucking leave, she had money. Okay? Period. All the bills were paid, everything was covered, all of her medical business were taken care of. She came and went as she wanted to. She was engaged and she met my family multiple times. She was involved in my theater stuff. I mean, everything. I was never pushy or not understanding of her disability. I was supportive of all times. Everything. When Alice came here, Alice ended up having to take care of her. This partner never took care of the house. She never cleaned. Nothing. It literally, if Alice didn't pick up after it or if I didn't, it was a mess. Just coffee grinds, just stupid shit everywhere. And I kept saying too, we'd have more financial success with all this if you would do X, Y, and Z. She never did it. And everything was fine. And she even when she had moved out, when she moved out to move into a different guy's place to live there for free, because I guess he's stupid enough to say, well, you can just not contribute. She still said she wanted to pursue the relationship. All of a sudden, though, when our account blew up and our Twitch blew up and was bigger than hers, then all of a sudden it was all this negativity shit. Okay? But to make it clear, and I have the bank statements to prove all of this. I brought in upwards of $80,000. She brought in about 12. She never had to pay for a thing. So if she wants to have a civil discussion about shares or otherwise, I'll gladly go through the bank statement and do everything. But to say she was trafficked, and here's the thing, she engaged with other men, submissives and all this other shit, did all that. But like even now, her Twitch is not a fraction of what ours is. And that's why she's pissed. But I'm sorry, when your expenses are this much and I'm trying to provide for you and you still have money to get rid of, and like, understand too, all of her equipment that she had was paid for without a question. Any outfits she wanted was paid for without a question. Like, it was never wanted for money. No, there wasn't a massive savings account sitting there, but it's because she wasn't doing the steps to take it. And it's very clear because I can literally pull up our results on the content we create, the income we make, that the minute Alice came and was engaged in doing things certain ways, and really participating in the relationship and what we were trying to do, it was night and day. Like, it went like this, instantly. So that's that party. Okay. Now it comes to Gypsy and Ivy. Now Ivy hasn't said anything yet, nor do I know if she will. So we're not gonna bring that up. The one thing, the thing I will say about Ivy is that there was issues because she felt like she was having to take care of Gypsy. She felt like Gypsy wasn't contributing. She felt like she was having to be a caretaker. Additionally, Ivy had previously had some issues with drugs, and when Gypsy got involved in drugs, that was a big red flag for her. Now, I find it ironic that since the relationship has ended, they're all now buddy-buddy. But, I mean, and Alice can attest to the conversations we had with Ivy where we literally thought at one point we were going to have to choose. Okay? But Ivy, aside from a lack of communication, we really thought Ivy was invested and loved us, and we loved her, And I loved my previous partner also. Don't misunderstand that. To this day, I'm upset because I just tried to provide a life for the partner that I wanted and tried to take care of her and give her everything she wanted. The things that Alice talks about where it's like, if she needs something or she complains about something, it's fixed right away. For some reason, my previous partner thinks that that's toxic. Thinks that, somebody jumping to the opportunity to take care of them is toxic. So I don't know. But see, the problem is with her is everything's offensive. Everything's a microaggression. Okay? She's just one of those. So anyway, now we're dealing with the Gypsy problem and what she said. So here's the fact of the matter. And I said it briefly on TikTok, but we're going to get into it here. Gypsy had told us multiple times that she was originally previously living in a trap house. It was a bad situation. She wanted to get out of the area she lived in Southern Illinois. She was so excited to be with us. She loved the business model we were trying to do. She loved us, the relationship. She loved being with with a dom. She loved having Alice, everything. It was super positive. Awesome. Right? And you guys can look back. I mean, here's the thing. You can see the TikToks. You can see the live videos we did. They're here. You can see when they're live. Like, you can't fake that. Okay? You can't fake that. Where we saw the change was they wanted to move down here. They didn't want to keep traveling back and forth. They wanted to move down here. I said, you know what? Well, we don't want you to be forced to live with us. Plus, I mean, even a 2-bedroom apartment with 4 people and the amount of clothes, it can get a little bit much. I'm like, why don't we help you guys get your own apartment? Again, something a trafficker wouldn't do, by the way. They didn't want to bring you in and keep you locked down. No. We said, hey, let's help you get your own apartment. Well, it'll be your and Ivy's safe space. Okay? So they did the application. They got approved for it. I had money set aside. And it was great. Now, in the middle of all this, while they were in the process of moving down, Gypsy left at one point for about 2 weeks. Said, hey, I'm gonna go, spend time with my grandpa, and I'm gonna get my stuff together and everything else and move back down. Well, lo and behold, we found out through the most unfortunate circumstances that was a lie. And we found out when the theft happened. Now, we originally posted just that the car was skimmed. What actually happened and what we found out was that it was one of Gypsy's friends who took the card, somehow got the PIN, and ran up over $2,000 in withdrawals from our account, the account that she shared with us. So technically, yes, that's also her money. She swears up and down she didn't give him the PIN number. What we think happened is she gave him the card, gave him the PIN number, and told him to go get some money out for drugs. And then he took more, but we don't know. We can't press charges for it because, yes, she had access to the account. But here's the thing. The money in that account was supposed to be for our family, our home, their new apartment, etc. Right? It was used for Xanax. And a lot of it. I have the police report that tested this. Now, during that time, not only was she lying about where she was, which here's the thing, we didn't want to control where she was, but communication is key. We didn't know where she was. She lied about where she was. As a matter of fact, she spent that entire 2 weeks with her ex-boyfriend. Her ex-boyfriend, who's a minor, by the way. Okay? Her ex-boyfriend, who when the police came with theft thing and talked to her, she referred to as her current boyfriend. The ex-boyfriend who when she came back and talked to us, she referred to as one of her soulmates. Now this is somebody who has stolen from her before. Okay? And we think had a part in this theft also. But she was having sex with a minor. Cheating on us, having sex with a minor. Lying to us for 2 weeks about where she was, what she was doing. And additionally, doing drugs, which we're a drug-free household. We're all for 420, it's fine, but not anything else. And when I found out from the officer the amount of Xanax that was there, holy shit. Okay? It would have been enough to put down a fucking horse. And again, I have bank statements. I have police reports. I have all this information. She admitted to the Xanax. She admitted to being with that person. Everything. When she came back, that's when we started to see downhill. Because trust me, Alice had her concerns. Ivy wanted her gone. And I said, look, she made a mistake. We're going to work on it. So she came back and we thought things were okay, but we kept noticing that there wasn't any accountability for what she did. She felt like she didn't do anything wrong. And we just kept trying to move forward and grow. And then Ivy decided to part ways. And Gypsy was still fine. And all of a sudden, Gypsy and our other ex showed up and got very aggressive and very ignorant with us to get her stuff. And there was a gentleman with her, I'm assuming was the minor. Now, on top of all this, we never prevented her from getting her stuff. She refused to give us back our key, refused to give us back the collar. She since said she'll send it, but she didn't think she had to. We didn't prevent her from any of it. And on top of that, the $1,000 plus that was put down on the apartment that they were no longer getting, obviously, is being refunded. And it's going to her. And although I initially raised an objection, she had the audacity to get in my face and scream at me and say that that was her money. Yes, it was part of our joint account. But at the same time, she again didn't want to deal with the $2,000 theft. So, let me be clear. We did nothing wrong with Gypsy, aside from the fact that we trusted somebody that we shouldn't have. Okay? She was never trafficked. She was never forced to do anything. Nothing. I know the other day she was trying to tell Alice that, here's the thing, they all talk to Alice like she's an idiot. You guys have seen Alice. Alice has been through more shit than most. She's also the most mature and the oldest out of any of them. But yet they think she's the brainwashed one because she's not lying about it. Which is the other thing our ex tried to do is started trying to reach out to everybody she could to make false allegations. Okay? I don't know what her goal is here. I think it's because she got looped into some underground hip-hop producer saying he was going to give her $1 million for music, which, by the way, doesn't fucking happen that way. And as somebody who has connections in the music industry and offered to help her with those connections or even looked through the contract and I was told to fuck off, that she was raised by a businessman and she knew better, okay. That record career is not happening, I don't think. But I think she's trying to parlay all this in a way to build a brand off the brand we already helped her build to help her do this music. she did try to say Alice, which was texting her, that kinks were forced upon her. Well, let me tell you something. There wasn't a single kink forced upon her, and you can see that through the videos. Because Ivy had different kinks than Gypsy, and that was fine. And we parlayed into whichever their kinks were. She was never forced to make content or otherwise. The only thing that we ever said was that, hey, and if you talk to our new partners or people that we're engaging with, we were very open, like, hey, this is our brand, this is what we do. Like, you're welcome to be a part of this, but we need your help. Okay? I was adamant on we couldn't just go days and days and days without creating content, but that's not trafficking. That's not forced. That's saying, hey, we have a business that we run as a family that pays our bills. Okay? She's never forced to do anything. Nobody was. And Alice can attest to this. That's the whole thing here, guys. Alice was here for all of this. If you don't believe me, talk to Alice. If you don't believe in Alice and me, talk to any one of the groups of people that have known this situation. Nothing was forced. Nothing was done wrong. Here's the thing. Joint account, whether you agree with it or not trafficking. And when you have access to over $10,000 a month of shared income, you really want to say you were forced to do anything, because that's the whole thing. One partner was pissed because she thought she should live and not have to pay for anything. And then she got into their mind and said, why did you get a paycheck? Well, you didn't get a paycheck because you had access to all of our accounts, all of our money, including my personal income. And I never said this is my income, this is your income, okay? I want you guys to understand that. And I'm bringing this to your attention not only for the fact of, to make sure that you understand what's true and what's not, but here's the biggest part of this. Making a false allegation is toxic as fuck. And it's shameful. And I think she and our previous partner both should be ashamed of themselves for trying to make that allegation for their own petty bullshit. Okay? It's disgusting. You should really be fucking ashamed of yourself. You were never threatened. You were never forced to do anything. That's the other thing she said. We threatened her. The only thing we ever said was that if we were forced to, we would be honest, which we're being now, versus trying to be diplomatic and just let it go. But they should be ashamed, because there are people who are actually trafficked. And let me tell you something. Here's how trafficking works. Per talking to the council that helps people with it, through seeing people who've actually gone through it, you're not allowed to see your family and friends. You're taken away from them. They're pushed out of your life. More than likely, you're not introduced to the quote-unquote trafficker's family. You're not engaged in social activities. You're not engaged in social activities by yourself. And that person has you make money and then takes your money. They don't give you access to their money. Okay? All of our partners, the previous ex, these two, they came and left when they wanted to. Sometimes for weeks at a time. Our previous partner that started all this bullshit had actually already been gone for 2 or 3 weeks and came back to come see my play. Now you're going to tell me you were forced or you were trafficked, but you made an effort to come to my shitty little play in a small town. But you were so fearful and in danger, right? Okay. We didn't take anybody's money. In fact, we gave them access to our money, on top of helping them make more money than they were. And helping them, trying to provide a better life and being in a relationship with people that we cared about. Okay? They met my family. Our ex did. My family knew about it. Everything was public. Everything was open. Everybody came and left when they wanted to. So, nobody was forced to do anything. I'm so appalled and upset about all this. And I'm appalled and upset for people who actually have to go through the shit they're saying, and for them to use that as a tactic for their own gain is pathetic. We gave you an opportunity, and you're more than welcome to leave, but don't try to tear somebody down afterwards. It's just bullshit. So this is the one video I'm going to make on this. If you have comments or questions, if you want to reach out to me, please do. If we need to, again, we have proof. But at the end of the day, this was a mutual relationship of people that were supposed to be mutually creating and hustling together. And for whatever reason, got wrapped up in the bullshit. So, that's it. We'll talk about it on the podcast tonight. Thank you for hearing us out. And stay tuned for more adventures of me and Alice and the quality people we do have in our life. Thank you.